Detroitlions will rise.
All right. Hey, it's day 3. Actually, it's the first day, really. Free agency starts at 4 o'clock today. This is when all of the shenanigans are probably going to go down. If it's anything like last year, I think the Lions kind of waited a little bit till some of the announcements happened. But we'll be right back. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about a few things. Salary cap was just readjusted. What does it really mean for the Lions right now? How much money do they really have? It's kind of murky. The waters are kind of, it's clear as mud. Let's just put it that way. So let's get into, let's just do a quick intro and we'll be right back.
Adam Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000 people.
Well, that was some party in downtown Detroit. 775,000 people, shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
This is the future.
Oh, great.
Evolution. This is the future.
Oh, great.
Evolution.
Oh, great. All right. I wasn't lying when I said I had my popcorn. This is the biggest bag of popcorn I've ever seen. It's gonna be the Brad Holmes show today. Get my popcorn out. I'm ready for the show. Could be a whole lot of nothing. To be honest with y'all, it could be a whole lot of nothing going on today besides some inner workings of players that are gonna get re-signed. Which I wouldn't be mad at. You know, last year, we had a pretty damn good run. You know, and considering the fact that, I mean, everybody was hurt, right? Everybody. We didn't have a team. And we still went the distance. Like, we still got the 1 seed. We still won 15 games. Yeah, we didn't show up in the playoff game, but I wholeheartedly, I blame that on Aaron Glenn, right? I blame that on Ben Johnson. I don't think that they were prepared at all. And I probably should have started this a long time ago, but I just don't think that they were prepared. And I think it killed us. And you guys know my position on that. I haven't pulled any punches on that. There we go. That looks better. So even if we start with the same team, in 2025, largely the same team, outside of a couple of players, DJ Reed, Roy Lopez. Are we that bad off? I mean, we may not have Kevin Zeitler. We may not have Zadarius Smith. Rumors are that he is coming back, though. We may not have a handful of players. We don't have Ifeatu Melifonwu, who didn't play anyway. So, is it really that bad of a start? Every year, our rookies have played at a high level. Every year. And I think the defensive line is a little bit different. when you're talking about a quarterback, a tight end, or cornerback, I think that those three positions, very difficult to have a good first year. Next, I would say offensive line, probably the next hardest position to have a good first year. Running backs, wide receivers can have a good first year. Defensively, I feel like defensive line players, they have more of an opportunity to play solid football in their first season. Run, hit, tackle. Like that's their MO for the year. Run, hit, tackle. And if they can just do that, they're going to be all right. Oh, I don't know. What did Kirby tweet? See, I don't even have my Twitter open. Hold on. God dang it. I got it open to Ian Rappaport. I don't have anything on Curb. Every year, the cryptic tweets, something happens. People get all bent out of shape. Oh my goodness. What is going on here? I need to get out of this. 1 second, people. Sorry. There we go. Go home. Just go home. There. Now I can search. Okay. So June 22 in Orlando. That's pinned. That was 5 days ago. 46 minutes ago. OTB exclamation exclamation. What does OTB mean? OTB. I have no idea. Anybody can take a wild guess? OTB? Off track betting. I don't know. I don't know what it means. Here, let me see if there's some comments. Let's read what the comments are. On the books. Oh, that's a good one. On the books. There we go. Lions Basement banter got that one. On the books. Oh boy. I'm scared. I'm scared this means over the bullshit. Or something to that extent. Please pay this man. All right. Damn, Lions just put Curb on the block. Ooh, it could be on the block, on the trading block. Oh boy. Or out this bitch. Oh man, we're going to have a lot of swear words today. I apologize. I'm reading people's tweets here. Okay, so far we have, wow, you got people calling him an effer. This Jordan Miller person called him an effer. Why would you do that? Like, that's not even cool. All right, so on the block, on the books, over the bullshit. I think that it's got to be one of those three. And if I'm right in anything that I've said this year, it would be on the block. But then again, you know, Brad Holmes said he wants to get him signed. So if he wants to get him signed, that would mean that he's on the books. Here, let me repost this real quick. All right. Get your phones open to Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, and all the other knuckleheads that are going to be making these calls here starting shortly. I'm sure it's going to break right before 4 p.m. with other news not related to the Lions, but that's okay. I'm going to open up the phone lines shortly after 4 o'clock so you guys can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Whether you're pissed off, whether you're happy, whether you're ecstatic, whatever you want to talk about, it is what it is. That's what we're here for. Michael Garrity, what's happening, brother? Yeah, 4 p.m. That's when it officially really starts. J-Man says, over this Brad. Okay, that's another good one. All right, so first I want to talk about salary cap. Now, I didn't have any time to write an article today. I dealt with the computer. We got it up and rolling. It's almost done, but we have 4 more terabytes installed, so I think we're all right now. Let's get into this article real quick. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, the Detroit Lions salary cap readjusted here before 4 p.m. by the NFLPA. This is by Eric Schlitt here out of Pride of Detroit. He wanted to recognize the final adjustments for the Detroit Lions salary cap, obviously ahead of, the actual free agency opening today at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or New York time. And essentially, it's still clear as mud to me because, and I did reach out to Spotrac. I'm hoping that they are going to come on and do a full explanation, give us the full rundown of how all of this stuff works. So I'm waiting for that when we can get it set up. Obviously, right now is a very busy time for them. But anyway, he goes on to say that, obviously the salary cap was, $279.2 million. The team-based salary cap rollover for the Lions just south of $24 million. So $23,638,725,000. I'm sorry, $725. That was rolled over into the 25 salary cap. Okay, so you got 279 plus the 23, 638. We'll just call it 23.7. You add all that together, that pretty much gives the Lions $303,000. So yes, we can spend over the cap. Okay, so when you take a look at what the top 51 is, I'm going to have to pull open another sheet somewhere else. Hold on. And I think I got it. Okay, when you pull up the Lions salary cap table for this year, and you take a look at the top 51 and cap space, this changed again. This doesn't make any sense. This can't be right. It says that the Lions have $56,408,000 available right now. Now we have a dead cap hit this year of $18.8 million, which it's notable, right? You have to weigh that against, what your available cap is. So 279 plus the 732 rollover, an adjustment of $3.5 million gives the Lions $306,476,000. You have an active roster right now of $234.6 million, and then you have dead money of $18.8 million. Gives you a total allocation of cap space of $53,048,000 for your Detroit Lions. And then when you look at the top 51 that are currently signed today, it gives you a total top 51 effective cap space of $56,408,084. Okay, so that's the number. Call it 56 mil. That's what the Lions are looking at right now. It's 56 mil. Matter of fact, here, let me throw this one up here, just so you can see what I'm looking at. Let me make this a little bigger if I can, which I can't without it distorting. That's probably way too small. So pause. 56 mil down here. That's the number. This is by Spotrac Premium. That's what they're reporting as the Lions have. So what changes between now and later, right? What's going to change? So you have the rookies, right? We're picking at the end of the round. Pick 28. So that means that our rookie class is probably going to cost the Lions no more than $10 million to get signed. So you take that 56 mil and now you minus 10 mil off of that. So now you're sitting at 46 mil. That's what the Lions have. But they're not done there, right? They're going to want to adjust for in-season spending. Now, last year we had a lot of injuries. So what happens if the same thing happens this year? They're going to be prepared for that. So they're probably going to park $12 million in a rainy day fund, or 10 or 15 or whatever. I think Brad usually tries to get to 18 mil-ish every year, it seems like, that 18, 20 mil range, and then he stops. So what can we get signed for $26 million today? What essentially is going to happen? We don't really know the DJ Reed deal just yet. We don't know all of the numbers for the DJ Reed contract. Let me get DJ Reed pulled up. Now, according to Spotrac right now, there's nothing reported at all. Now, that'll come out later on today, but if I'm thinking through this constructively, he's getting a $32 million guarantee at signing. Let's just say it's a 5-year deal with the 2 void years. You're taking that $32 million, you're spreading it out over the first 5. We'll just call it $6.5 million a year is going to come off the top no matter what. $6.5 million this year. So if we have $26 million, that just dropped us down to 20 mil just off the DJ Reed signing. The Roy Lopez and Davenport, that won't hurt a whole lot. Maybe another couple mil this year, maybe. So now we're down to like 18 mil. That's what I'm coming up with. If you just do the numbers, it's not like the Lions have all of this money. It's just weird how the money disappears so quickly. You know what I mean? It's craziness. When I think about the Bears for a moment, and what did the Bears do, which is nuts? I mean, they went out and spent like $160 million on day one. Their top 51 cap space was $18.8 million. 18.8. They only have a dead cap number of $4 million this year, so they're beating us by dead cap on $14 million this year. If the Lions did not release Zadarius Smith, we wouldn't have had any money, it seems like. So I think that what Brad is done, obviously releasing Zadarius made a ton of sense. Ton of sense. So my biggest question is, how were they able to do all that? All right, they got Jonah on the books already. They got Joe Tooney on the books already. So that's 16 mil cap hit, 17.5 mil. So that's 33 mil. And then who else did they bring in? Who else did they bring in? Ode Boingo, right? Or how do you pronounce his last name? He's already on the books at 8 mil. So let's just call it 40 mil. So they had 58, 59 million, I think, to start. And they're down to 18 million just by signing those 3 players. And I'm pretty sure there was another guy, Drew Dahlman. So there's another 13. So that brings them up to about 54 million in cap hits for this year. So they must have been closer to 70 mil to start with. Their starting cap space. Yeah, I think that number disappeared. I'd have to go search it up, which I'm not going to do. Well, I think that they had top 8 money, top 10 money, somewhere in that range. But they spent a lot of it. So what are they going to be able to do today? They're going to be able to probably re-sign some of their free agents, some of their in-house guys. I don't see what else the Bears can really do on a big scale, on the large scale. I see the same thing for the Lions right now. If all of my numbers are adding up, which is where we're going to switch back to now, let's get back with the Lions here, is we have 56 million in cap space, 10 million's going to our rookies. That brings us down to 46. Let's just see if any of these other guys have already hit our cap sheet. I doubt it. All right, so we do have Davenport on the cap sheet at 1.75 million. And we don't have DJ Reed on here yet that I see. So he's going to have to be allocated towards the cap sheet. Speaking of dead money, so Carlton Davis is costing us $9.8 million this year. Cam Sutton. So this is the other talk I'm sorry, this is the other conversation that we just don't know what's happening yet with Cam Sutton. So that's $6.5 million that is on our sheet. At what point is it going to disappear? I don't know if the collective bargaining agreement, or not collective, the NFLPA, I don't know if they've done everything yet. I don't know if this has been settled yet. I haven't seen anything printed about it. I'm probably going to make a phone call tomorrow because this doesn't make any sense to me why this is still sitting on the books. Now, the NFLPA put this on the books because what they had put into a statement was if the Lions were trying to skirt the salary cap, which they were not by filing the claim, they had to at least put 40% of that money on the books for the Lions. So when we get that money back, when the Lions get that money back, not only will it adjust for this year, but it should adjust for last year and carry forward, which should give the Lions an extra little bit of a surplus. What I'm banking on here is that Brad Holmes is going to take that money and he's going to roll it into 26. So they're probably just banking on, they're going to get it at some point this year. They're going to roll it into 26 to kind of help offset some of these future extensions, which is a good plan. So it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. It's bonus money that you'll get later. I mean, that's what I would do if I was him. So appreciate you, Mark. Appreciate you, buddy. Victor Max has been the Lions fan 50 years. You are literally the only one talking with some sense. I appreciate that. Look, there's some good people out there. There's some really good people out there. The bandwagon Lions fans want Brad to go out and sign $30 million a year free agents and destroy the future. Defensive ends, draft. Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. Like, let's get it in the draft. I think that we have a higher opportunity to succeed this draft, as deep as it is defensively. I think that this is gonna bode really well for us this year, and we're getting put into a position where you're going to be able to retain some players if that's what you guys want to do. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. I'll be honest with you. Part of me is kind of in that boat of when is enough, right? When is enough of your own guys? And you do kind of, deviate a little bit from the plan. Never stop building depth. Like, that can't ever stop. Never stop drafting well. But when will enough be enough that you can actually go out and say, look, if you do believe in a window, then hold on. Adam Schefter's already going at it. If you do believe in a window, then at what point does that window slam shut in your face? I don't think it's anytime soon. I'm not a huge believer in this window. I think that, teams like last year, like the Commanders is reason to believe that you can go from worst to first. And they did it. They did it with a quarterback, and they did it with a new coach, and they did it with a fairly decent defense. But this year, they just got really good in year two by some of the moves that they made. But I want to point this out, and it's a term that I used last year, and I'm going to use it every year. We have paper tiger syndrome right now, right? We have it's called PTS, not PTSD or whatever. PTS, paper tiger syndrome, right? Paper tiger syndrome means everything that you've seen all of these other teams do, it's just on paper. It's just a bunch of wild, ferocious tigers on a piece of paper right now. Wait till they put their pads on. Wait till it's 90 degrees in the middle of the summer, and let's see who comes out, right? Let's see who can make it. That's when the real test is. That's when the real fortitude gets tested. So right now, everything on paper looks great for Minnesota. Everything on paper looks phenomenal for the Bears. We still have our team from last year, and we're adding to it. So let's get through this paper tiger syndrome, get through free agency, get into the draft, and let Brad do his work, right? That's where he's going to do some cooking. Like I said, I got my popcorn. New rumor right now, as of an hour ago, the Bengals are seeking a first-round pick and more for Trey Hendrickson. Well, guess what? Isn't he under contract this year? So they're not going to release the guy, from what I understand, right? They're not releasing him? I don't think they are. I think they just gave him permission to seek a trade. Okay, so report out of Bleacher Report here. Oh, looks like they took it down. They did. Hold on. Let me try this again. I think my computer's blocking it because it recognizes it as spam. Okay, it says that NFL trade rumors, teams are turned off by the Bengals asking price for Trey Hendrickson. So Trey is the only guy that makes sense to me. He's the only guy that's ever made sense to me for the big name free agent. I don't think it happens, but I can't say I would be surprised, because if Brad's going to pull something off, it's probably going to be for a guy like that. Otherwise, yeah, Ojulari and some other of these, smaller players, smaller cap players would make a lot of sense too. And we've gone over that, for weeks now. So I'm not going to rehash it all. But the Bengals are looking for, I guess, a boatload. And I just don't see Brad. I don't see Brad giving up a boatload for Hendrickson. But it does make sense that they offered him up, on the trade market because of the Crosby deal, over $35 million. And then the Garrett deal. So that's exactly why. They can't pay Trey. They can't. There's no way he's going to be so unhappy this year if he doesn't get an extension for the Bengals, and he's not going to get it. So he's either going to have to play for what he's got, or he's going to have to sit out. What's the new Bleacher Report app? What's that, J-Man? I never heard of that. J-Man says, do you remember when Bleacher Report was the new kid on the block? Yeah. And a great alternative. Now it's kind of dog water. Like ESPN. Yeah, that's great. What's that say? Wayne Curtis says, love the show. Take notes to clickbaiting shows. I don't see the rest of the. I think what you're saying is you love the show, that we don't do clickbait. Yeah, we don't do clickbait here. No, we will push the envelope a little bit on some things, but you know exactly what you're getting from me. When you come in, you're going to get whatever's on the thumbnail or whatever's in the description. Thumbnails are tough because you can only put so many words and have them be attention grabbing and all that good stuff. So it's tough, but we're not going to say Brad Holmes is having conversations with X, Y, and Z, because nobody knows that. Nobody does. Even with recent, information for myself, I still won't know that stuff. And I'll be the first person to admit it. We're not privy to that information. Nobody is. Not one person. Maybe Brad Holmes' wife. That's probably about it. Maybe his dog, if he has a dog, they probably have great conversations. Probably has all the secrets in his necklace. What was that dog's name? Bernard or something? St. Bernard. Probably has all the secrets in his little necklace, but that's about it. No one knows. Nobody knows. All right, we're getting close here. We got 5 minutes to go. See what's popping on the old X. Danny Rogers says, I've been waiting 17 years for it to turn 4 p.m. today. I made sure the office of One Pride Productions, new Inside the Den just dropped. Who knows who I think the Lions might sign in free agency. That would be, let's see if it happens. Oh, come on now, guys. We should try to get Danny Rogers on. Why don't we do that? Why don't we get Danny Rogers on? Not today. Someday. So cap adjustments obviously are going to be a big part of today. I think that the Lions obviously are smart enough to figure that stuff out. Like, they know what money they've had. They know exactly what they were able to spend. Let's talk a little bit about our signing so far as we approach 4 o'clock. And by the way, again, I thank all you guys for all the well wishes and all that good stuff. Huge appreciation for all of you, and means a lot. So appreciate it. Thank you. We'll do Pride of Detroit's instant analysis. I haven't dove into any tape. I know Justin Rogers today said that he's been watching tape like all day. I would have loved to have been able to do that, but I haven't been able to yet. So I couldn't give you a for sure anything on DJ Reed. I was not high on him only because of the size, right? It's cold in here. Give me 1 second. Got 3 minutes. Anyway, I was not high on DJ Reed because of the size. I'm a prototypical corner size kind of person. That's what I look for. I mean, you can have some smaller guys, but I think that your outside corner should be prototypical size. That doesn't mean that he doesn't have a big heart. Doesn't mean that he doesn't play bigger than what he is. Last year, some of his best games, he shut down Justin Jefferson. So that's all that I really need to know. Is that if you can lock down one of the best in the league, I think you're going to do all right. Especially in this defense. Interesting, Scott Young. Well, I haven't heard that. Chiefs and Commanders getting busted for tampering. What would that be for? That's nuts. I haven't heard of that at all. Or the attempt of tampering or something. Interesting. All right, so DJ Reed, here we go. 2024 role starting cornerback for the Jets. After 3 very successful seasons in the Jets press man scheme, let's make sure we understand that. Look, he's a press man corner. He can play zone. There were some people saying today that he was going to play in an off zone kind of scheme, that Calvin Shepard's going to employ a little bit more zone. I do think that we'll run a little bit more zone. I absolutely do believe that. But DJ Reed is not a zone guy. I mean, this guy is an in-your-face, bully. Like, he wants to get at you. He wants to get hands-on. The limited highlights that I've watched, I have not watched full game tape, but the limited highlights that I've watched, he's a very physical corner. He does play right on your hip, commit some penalties. So penalties could be an issue here. But anyway, Reed was considered one of the top free agents in this year's draft. Checking in as number 6 best available player per PFF and number 9 on the Athletics rankings. That's pretty good. If you believe in any of the rankings out there, we all have our opinions of PFF. All right, it is 4 o'clock. Let the rain begin. Here it comes. I don't know. Do people want to take certain X and just report it right into the chat? I don't know if it'll let you drop links from X, but if you can drop them, great. I'm going to look at Ian Rappaport. So if you guys want to watch, like Garofolo or anybody else, whoever you like to follow, we'll all just kind of contribute here to see if we can get all the information out. Give me a few minutes. We'll open up the lines too. All right. So anyway, according to PFF's rankings, Reed is set to enter free agency as earning his 6th straight season long 70+ PFF grade. That's tough to do. His 70.1 coverage grade in 24 ranked 31st among qualifying corners, which when you think about that, if he's our number 2 and he's ranked 31, that's really good, because if Terrion Arnold can get ranked up into the top 20, 25 this year, I'm thinking it'll be a top 15. We'll have a top 31, a top 15, and a Meek Robertson, who in my opinion should also be mentioned in the top 32. That's 3 really good corners. We don't know what we have in Ennis Rakestraw yet, but last year, I mean, there was glimpses of greatness out of that guy, and another physical corner. So year 2 for both of those guys are going to be huge. PFF's advanced metrics had him as a 51.28% lockdown corner, which is incredibly good. What's that say? Someone follow the Starbucks Kid Insider? I don't know what that is. That's hilarious. I should probably have NFL Network up. 1 sec. That's a problem. Give me 1 sec, guys. I got to get a couple things up. They're coming, Nick. They're coming. It just started. It'll take a little bit for things to hit the NFL office, and it gets bounced out. Do me a favor, if you guys want to share it, let me know in the chat where you guys are all from. We've had people from all over the place, Alaska, Hawaii, jumping in over the last week. It's pretty cool, man. It means you guys are up late or up early, depending on where you're coming from. We've got a live Bears press conference. I don't see anything with the Lions right now. The Bears are live. All right. Can you guys hear what I'm hearing right now? Stream volume is low compared to other YouTube streams. Which stream volume? My stream volume? Should be good. I mean, I could turn it up. I just don't want to. I don't want to be. I don't want to be all extra distorted. So I'll turn it up just a little bit. If you guys need it any louder than that, just let me know. All right, there we go. So anyway, who's on deck today? Taylor Decker. So I was going to do a video today about Taylor Decker. I did not. There's been a lot of conversation about Taylor Decker being on the move. Could be a potential trade for him. Paying him $20 million. I mean, they just re-signed him last year to an extension. Paying him $20 million a year. He's letting up way too many sacks. He's got a 23.1 cap hit this year. 23.1 million. He is the second highest paid player on the team. Jared Goff has a $32.6 million cap hit. And I want to emphasize that because, everyone talking about Jared Goff's contract. And look, his contract has been $32 million for the last 3 years. So I just don't see that being a big deal. Like he's way underpaid for what some of these other quarterbacks are getting paid and his production, right? He's been great. This is the last year we're going to see that. Next year, it's going to be more than double than what it is right now. Frank Ragnow, $14 million. Amon-Ra St. Brown, $13.9 million. So if you look at the video that I did earlier, it wasn't so much to call out Amon-Ra St. Brown. It kind of was. It kind of wasn't. It was just to kind of talk about, he's all pissed off about the Bears. And the Bears spending all this money. And look, either you want to keep Aiden and you want to keep Curb and you want to keep the guys next year or you don't. And if you do, great. If you don't, well, then go march into Brad's office and tell him to take some money back so that we can go sign some more players. It's that simple, right? You could do the same thing with Jared Goff's contract next year, which is $70 million. If you want to restructure like the the Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones did, then that will give the Lions more opportunity to go out and sign some players. The problem is, who are you going to sign? Are you going to waste a bunch of money on all these expensive free agents that are older? Probably not. It's never been Brad's way of doing things, and I still don't think it is. Taylor Decker, like I was saying a minute ago, at $23.1 million, I just don't know how. I don't know how he's getting that kind of money. He has not been great. He's a great dude, right? Great locker room guy, good teammate, all that stuff. Like, Lions fans love him. I have mad respect for him. But his production is terrible. And there was other guys available right now, or there were, that you could have done something with. You could probably get a second-round pick for him. You absolutely could. There was somebody else I wanted to talk about. I'll come back to DJ Reed in a minute. But let's look at some of these quarterback trades that have happened this week. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there was a lot of conversation this year about Hendon Hooker and a Hendon Hooker trade and you know, trying to get all of this stuff back for Hendon Hooker. And I always said that he's just not worth anything. He hasn't played. He hasn't done anything. How could we put, you know, a third round pick grade on him? It just doesn't make any sense. You got to play. Danny Dimes was just traded Kenny Pickett was just traded from the Eagles to the Browns for a 5th round pick. And the Browns also had to throw in Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And Kenny Pickett played in 2 seasons worth of games? So he has NFL experience. Now, I would say that Hendon Hooker potentially could be better than Kenny Pickett, but that's what they got for a guy that has NFL experience, was a 5th round pick. The Danny Dimes trade, I think, was a 3rd round pick. And this is a guy that's played a ton in the NFL, a ton, and has had some pretty good stats. So where was it? Why is it not pulling up? Trade value. Here we go. And he also got like an $18 million contract, or $17 million or something like that. He has a 1-year deal, $14 million, and where is it? It was a 3rd round. It was a 3rd round pick. I know it was a 3rd round pick. So again, Danny Dimes played a lot in this league, has done a lot in this league. I would definitely say has the ability to still be a pretty good quarterback. And if he's only worth a 3rd round pick, and if Pickett's worth the 5th round pick, then I'm going to say Hooker's probably worth a 7th round pick. Maybe. So that's why there was never going to be anything done with Hooker. And whoever started this whole rumor and got everybody all riled up, I don't know why they did, because Hooker's just not, he's just not worth anything. Not yet. All right, is Kupp going to the Vikings? He was officially released a little bit ago. Ian Rappaport hasn't put anything out there. Javon Hargrave with the Vikings got $19 million guaranteed. 2-year, $30 million contract, $19 million guaranteed. That is not a bad deal for Javon Hargrave at all. Looks like linebacker and fullbacker Ben Van Sumeren will remain with the Eagles. How many of you guys think that Aaron Rodgers just retires? Or should retire? I think that a lot of us can just deal without Aaron Rodgers for forever. Yeah, now official 1 minute ago that Cooper Kupp is a free agent. I don't see anything about him going to the Vikings right now. I can't imagine that the Lions would be interested in something like that. Yeah, you give me a vet minimum deal on a guy like Cooper Kupp, well, then yeah, we could have a cup of coffee. But outside of that, he's more of a teacher right now. You know, limited role player. Yeah, I don't think Rodgers is going to go to Minnesota. I think that would be a very, very, very bad plan for Minnesota. I don't agree with Dan Orlovsky much. I used to, but he's changed. I don't know why he's changed, but he's changed quite a bit. I think that Aaron Rodgers is an infection waiting to turn sepsis in Minnesota. I think that's a bad idea. Just let JJ be the guy. You let Sam Darnold leave. And by letting Sam Darnold leave, it does not make sense to bring in yet another quarterback. It just let the dude play. It's gotta be JJ's room now. Not that I care, because I think that if Aaron Rodgers goes to Minnesota, then he'll just be throwing more interceptions to Kirby. All right, nothing being reported from Spotrac yet. Tour says, thoughts on Mike Williams if we lose Tim Patrick. Only guy close to as tall as Patrick that's available. If not, it's Antoine Green. Hopefully. You mean the guy that we had as a 7th round pick from 2022? Antoine Green? Is he healthy? I thought he had a pretty nasty injury last year. And that's why the Lions settled out with him. Russell Wilson to Cleveland. Look, I think there's a possibility there. It's crazy, but I think that there's a possibility there. I just read that I thought that Wilson's going to have an official visit with somebody, though. Yeah, Russell Wilson is expected to visit the Browns. Poor Pickett. Pickett ain't going to play, man. He's a career backup now at best. Yeah, Green was a big receiver. I had hope for him. I think that neck injury or whatever he had last year just did him in. Oh, I absolutely care about us re-signing Miles Adams. I think that was a huge pickup for us. I really like what Miles Adams brings to the table. Same thing with this Roy Lopez. Look, he's highly underrated. You know, we got Davenport under $5 million, which his deal is more vet minimum. And I mean, Roy Lopez is just, he's going to be the DJ Reader backup. He's not an Lee McNeil backup. He's a DJ Reader backup. So you're going to have Roy Lopez, DJ Reader, and Broderick Martin battling it out this year. Obviously, DJ's the starter. And it's going to be between Roy and Broderick for them to compete, you know, as who's going to be the main backup. Beyond that, you might see that the Lions roll with multiple nose tackles, you know, this season to get started until Aleem gets back. That could be the plan. I doubt it, but it could be the plan. Oh, right there with you, Peter Van Larhoven says, we should stop expecting Brad to do anything until the money makes sense. Dollars got to make sense. They have to. I didn't load up any sounds for today. Probably should have. Let's see here. Did I see Riley was in here? Riley, didn't you want to come on? You should just text me. Which Reynolds, Trace? You talking about Craig Reynolds? So the Lions did not tender any of the RFA contracts to Craig Reynolds, but Reynolds is expected to sign a 1-year deal similar to what Miles Adams did. Reynolds is good insurance at the running back position. So I can't remember what did I have on Reynolds? Did I let me go to my sheet. I know I wrote an article today about the rumors on the players that were supposed to come back. Let me get to Craig Reynolds. I can't be yawning already, man. This is a marathon. I need some of that magic mind. Yeah, so Craig Reynolds, I had him as a $1.2 million deal for the Lions. I was out on Craig. I did not expect him to come back at all. So this is good. It's good for the Lions to have the same depth that they started with last year. Brent, what's happening? Thoughts on Tim Patrick and Ravens? If ever a fit for Tim Patrick as a wide receiver 2-3, that makes so much sense. It would be the Ravens, opposite of Flowers. Yeah, I hope not. I want Tim Patrick to stay, to be honest with you. Okay, Miles Adams was officially re-signed. Congratulations there, Mr. Adams. Welcome back. Man, Spotrac has not updated anything. Nothing. Nada. I can't believe people are thinking that we should sign Cooper Kupp. Absolutely not. No way. All right, I got to eat some munchies here. Let me get Riley in. Hold on, Riley. I'll send you a link. Oh, yeah. We knew that, Brandy. St. Brown said that from the very beginning. He didn't want to play for the Lions. It's kind of funny how things have changed, right? Becomes one of the best wide receivers. I've always said this about St. Brown, that had he gone to another team, what if he wouldn't have become the player that he is now? What if he would have been overshadowed because he was a, fourth round pick and couldn't earn his way, onto the practice field to get the reps with the number one team? If he didn't have all those injuries stacked in front of him the first year that he was brought in, you never know what could have happened. So I think that he lucked into a situation, but there's no denying his talent. There's no denying who he is as a football player. But you see it all the time, or you hear about it all the time. that there's some really great football players that never become great in the NFL. They get overshadowed. They get forgotten about. They get lost in the shuffle. They get stuffed down the depth chart. And even though they're probably better than a majority of players in the league, they never get noticed. It sucks, but that's just the way it is. Big shout out to Michael Garrity on the $5 super chat. He says, if you don't fully trust Brad by now, you should find another team to root for. That's harsh. It's funny, though. What are we redundant on? What did I miss? Mike Payne reported Levi just re-signed. Good work, Levi. Let me get my Twitter back open. So Levi was not big on either. They're taking a big risk. A big risk with that injury. I mean, I love Levi, don't get me wrong, but it's a big risk. Where did my Twitter go? I guess my Twitter closed. Okay. Let me get some things open here. All right, here we go. Jeremy Reisman says he's pumped about this. Ian Rappaport, defensive tackle Levi Onwuzurike, just signed, or just off his best year, signing back with the Detroit Lions. Returning back from injury that limited him for 2 seasons. He's impressed in 2024. 1 year, $5.5 million deal. Let me just cross-reference what I had for Levi. I was 7.9 million is where I had Levi. 7.9 million. So that is a great deal by Brad Holmes. I overshot the moon. Congratulations, Levi. All right, so there's your answer on the defensive tackle stuff, right? Like, we just got 3 defensive tackles, and I'm still expecting that there's going to be a great amount of camp competition. Gina, he had major back injury, back surgery. My volume drops out when I switch screens. I don't know if that's what you mean. It does. It drops out. And then sometimes I mute it. All right, there we go. Should be good. I'll stick it, make sure it doesn't move. So that's a good deal for the Lions. 5.5 mil. I mean, so far, when you really think about it, Brad hasn't spent much at all. Just like I was expecting, the Broncos, they added a tight end, Evan Ingram. If you guys remember in one of, or I guess probably all 3 of the mock drafts or 4, I thought the tight end would be a great opportunity for the Broncos this year. I even thought that maybe there was going to be a trade with Hawkinson potential to the Broncos. But they got Evan Ingram instead. Let's see here. It's a good question, David. D6. I'm not sure how much is going to be a guarantee, but I can bet you it's probably about half. It's probably about half. Okay, looks like we have more Lions news coming through, potentially. Former Colts linebacker Grant Stewart has agreed to terms with the Detroit Lions on a fully guaranteed one-year deal. The deal was done by his agent Grady of Grady Sports, reported by Aaron Wilson. And I'm just going to say, who? Who's Grant Stewart? Let's find out. Okay, Grant Stewart. Let me see if I get this pulled up. Oh, hold on here. You know what? Let's just make this thing giant because this isn't working out. There we go. Make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so there's your guy. Grant Stewart, former Colt. Overall last year, 65.3 coverage grade, 70.1 against the run. That's pretty solid. 69.4 overall. If you remember from last week, a 60 is about average. So anything above 60 is really good. He only had 229 snaps last year, which is about a quarter of a team's full snap count. So he's a low rotational player. I'm not sure how many games he's played in here. Let's take a look. This will be his fourth team. So he came out of Houston. It'll be his third team. Started with Tampa, moved to Indianapolis Colts, and now he's going to be with the Detroit Lions. This clearly sounds like more of a depth piece signing, maybe a camp body. Can't be a big deal for this guy. It just can't be. Yeah, it could be a special teamer. It's a good point there, Kevin. I think Spotrack's broken because it's not doing anything. It is not updating anything. I'm just going to go ahead and close it because it's not helping me. They're still trying to say Rodgers to the Vikings. Man, that'll be a disaster. You know, I should almost just say go for it, right? Go ahead, sign Rodgers. Please do. All right, so Craig Reynolds is done. Levi Onwuzurike is done. Grant Stewart is going to sign. Grant Stewart is being touted as the Jalen Reeves-Maben replacement. Still holding out hope here that his Darius Smith deal gets redone. Miles Adams is done. Let's head back over to Garofalo. Nothing popping yet. Still quiet. We need a big juicy one, don't we? That'd be nice. Something to turn all these Lions frowns upside down. I'd love to see Azeez Ojulari get done. Tavier Thomas going to the Vikings, huh? Yeah, the germ replacement. So the Lions let Jalen Reeves-Maben go a while back. What's the rock noise, cruising? What's the rock noise? Nothing on Kirby just yet. Nothing on Kirby. So Kirby started off the day just before 4 p.m. with his OTB exclamation, exclamation. We still don't know what that means. On the books, off the books, on the block, off the block. We don't know. We have no idea. I guess since we're waiting, let me jump into one of my articles from earlier in case you guys haven't read it yet. I do make them all free right now. When we did get Lopez, right around that same time, I updated the tracker. I haven't updated it in a while. Which obviously will get updated tonight with all the new stuff. So as of this morning, the only thing that I was hearing, this was at 9:30 in the morning, that the Lions have been rumored to be working on deals to retain key depth and rotational players from 2024. And I did have Craig Reynolds there. So I had Pat O'Connor and Mitchell Agudi. I had Ben Nyman and Trevor Nowaski, Khalil Dorsey, and Zadarius Smith. And then rumored free agents to test the market: Coyote Owasika, Shane Zielstra, Kendall Vildor, Levi Onwuzurike, Jonah Williams, Kyle Pecco, El Kudin Muhammad, and John Kaminsky. So we got Levi wrong on the rumor, but we got Craig Reynolds right so far. So that helps. We just transpose those a little bit and we'll be all good. But as far as yesterday goes, we heard that the Lions were close to a deal on a mid-tier edge rusher. And then last night it was Roy Lopez. So not quite the individual we were looking for. And maybe we'll have some more news here soon. Open to buyout. There you go. I don't think we have Nowaski yet, Tour. Nowaski's a free agent. Pretty sure he's restricted, right? All right, looks like Riley's in the back room now. I'll get Riley in just 1 second. There it goes. Riley, it looks like you're Eric. You got audio?
I do, yeah. Can you guys hear me?
I got you.
Right on. Hey, man, Eric's shoes are big to fill, but I'll do my best. We are we're rolling, man. There's a couple hundred people in the chat. It's nice to see you're kind of getting back to doing these midday, and I know you did it this morning. You had to get your new computer and everything set up, right?
I had to fix it.
Had to fix it up, and
Yeah, the solid state drive was taking a crap, so all the files I kept losing every morning wasn't just OBS. It's also my solid state drive. So I got a new Gen 5.
see, you got to know football, you got to know technology, you got to know.
Oh, I literally had this thing on my bench all torn apart. Yeah. And I don't like messing with this stuff because it's all water cooled and everything. Like just one wrong move and it's dead in the water.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah, it's good to see everybody. I just got home, so happy to join in. Michael Garrity says hi. Good to see you, Michael. And yeah, a bunch of people in the chat. So there's a lot going on, man. I heard the name, but I was kind of in the process of walking my dog and running back in. So who did the Lions just sign?
Onwuzurike. Levi.
Oh, Levi is back. Okay.
Yeah, Levi's back. Yeah, and my bad. Trevor Nowatzki is signed. I don't know how I missed that before. I don't remember seeing him on the books for 2025. I could have sworn that he was a free agent this year.
Trevor Nowatzki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where was he was listed somewhere? Hold on here. Unless I'm just nuts. Yeah, he's listed right here. Exclusive rights free agent. Unsigned. So I think that that's a mistake on Spotrak's part because everything that I'm seeing, unless he was just re-signed today, was that he was an exclusive rights free agent unsigned. And that was reported by Pride of Detroit as well. So, yeah, well, that's kind of weird. I'm wondering what's going on there. Here, I'm going to pop it in the chat for you guys so you can see. There's Pride of Detroit's article. You can go through what's going on right now. But take it away. Let me update an article real quick while you're talking.
Yeah, so the Lions, it kind of looks like we're just bringing people back, right? Which I know is, again, we've talked about it. You've been talking about it a lot, that it's not the shiny new toy. So for a lot of people, it's underwhelming. But man, you're bringing back players that were part of a team that won 15 games. Now that doesn't mean that you're going to win 15 again next year, but there's just minutes there's not as much money to go around. And I like the video you did earlier to comparing and kind of talking about Amon-Ra and what his mindset may be relative to what we're seeing the Chiefs do. The Chiefs, there's a reason why they're there every year. They're really smart in how they do it. And it obviously helps to have a Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback. But Ian Rappaport's saying the Panthers are signing Rams free agent linebacker Christian Roseboom to a 1-year deal. Started 11 games last year with a career high 135 tackles for the Rams. So he makes his way to Carolina to join the Panthers.
All right, quick updates here. I don't know if anybody's updated anything in the chat real quick, but here's your update so far. Morris Norris just re-signed to a 1-year deal. Defensive back for the Detroit Lions. We've got guard Netnani Moody signed to a 1-year deal. Craig Reynolds, obviously we knew about earlier, signed to a 1-year deal. And I'll just run through the re-signed so far and signed elsewhere. So Craig Reynolds, Dan Skipper, Netnani Moody, Marcus Davenport, Miles Adams, Levi Onwuzurike, Anthony Pittman, Ezekiel Turner, and Morris Norris, all on 1-year deals. Derek Barnes, the linebacker, signed a 3-year, $24 million deal. Morris Alexander, James Mitchell, Carlton Davis, Ifeatu Melifonwu, they have all signed elsewhere. Still unsigned and expected to be unsigned, Teddy Bridgewater, Jamar Jefferson, Shane Zielstra. Now the guys that we hope to get back, like Tim Patrick, Kevin Zeitler, and let me just give you the rest of the list that are unsigned for this year's free agency class. Allen Robinson, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Connor Galvin, Michael Neese, Coyote Iwasaka, Al-Qudin Muhammad, Mitchell Agood, John Kaminsky, Jonah Williams, Pat O'Connor, Kyle Pecco, Trevor Nowaski, Ben Nyman, Quan Alexander, Kendall Vildor, Khalil Dorsey, Emmanuel Mosley, and Michael Badgley. Futures deals. The Lions have 11 futures deals in place. Quarterback Jake Fromm, State Farm. Tom Kennedy, Ronnie Bell, Jamarco Jones, Kingsley Egwukan, Chris Smith, Isaac Ukwu, Abraham Boplon, linebacker, Deron Gilbert, cornerback Stanley Thomas Oliver, Lauren Strickland, and Eric Hallett. So Lions still, I mean, they're doing some work, right? They're making things happen.
There's an article that just came out a couple hours ago, and I don't know how much you've gotten into this, but Christian Booher from Sports Illustrated is the Lions have the highest adjusted salary cap of any playoff team. I don't know how much we've gotten into that.
Yeah. So I started off with that. $306 million is what our adjusted salary cap is after the rollover, the funds that were added. So the Lions can spend, about $27 million beyond the salary cap number this year. The funny part is when you break it all down, the Lions had about $56 million. That's it. Which doesn't make any sense to me. How do you roll over $24 million and you only have 56? We've been seeing that we've had $50 million all year before the adjustment, right? Before the rollover. So you would think that it would have been that 50 plus that 30. And then you got to add in the, the dead cap and everything else, your rookie deals that you're going to have to sign this year. And then obviously your rainy day fund, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think that it's as clear as mud. And that's why I reached out to the Spotrac guys, and I know they're up against it today. It'll probably get them on next week if I'm lucky. Would probably be the first opportunity to have them on to kind of explain it to us, because I need someone to explain it to me. And quite honestly, I want to take a class in this salary cap stuff, because it seems like every year there's just new stuff that's added that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's so intricate and complex, and it's hard to, it takes, frankly, I feel like people like you to get an understanding and then be able to spell it out and explain it in a digestible way for a lot of people. And I'm sure have we gotten to Kirby Joseph getting the performance-based bonus? Is one of the highest.
Yeah, you got like almost $1 million or something.
Yeah, that's not a bad spiff based on his playing.
Did you see his tweet from earlier?
I haven't yet.
So he put the letters OTB and 2 exclamation marks. Oh boy, Michael Williams, one of the guys that I really liked at the combine. He just ran a 10-yard split at 1:59 seconds, which would have ranked 4th at the scouting combine. You want to talk about a guy that's flying around right now. Edge rusher, Michael Williams, projected now a top 10 to 15 pick in the draft. Oh, I'd love to see the Lions get a guy like that.
Can he fall to late 20s?
Nah. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't say no, because I didn't expect all of the offensive stuff to happen last year, and it did.
Yeah, it was a unique draft for sure last year.
And Brent says, Vildor is still here. He's like a bad penny. What do you mean he's still here? Did he just get re-signed too?
Let's take a look.
I won't be happy if he just got re-signed. I mean, I wasn't low on the guy last year. I wanted Vildor back last year. I absolutely did. No, I don't see where he's signed. He's unsigned still. Auteur, yeah, that number's wrong. So that number, that 2.436, it's not right. I think Jeff Risdon is the one that wrote an article on it earlier at that 2.4 or whatever. They carried over 23 million. 23 million is what the Lions carried over. Like 23 or 24. Here, I'll pull it up again. And this is another reason why I want Spotrac on, because what they're reporting is a 2024 rollover cap of $23,732,763. That's a big difference from 2.4. You know what I mean? Big difference.
Yeah,
So I thought someone just fat fingered it and, left off a zero.
I thought you had a good point of clarification earlier as well, because I saw from Mike Payton the article earlier where Brad Holmes was talking at the Combine, referenced watching week 3 against Arizona, but he specifically says he was looking on the offensive side of the ball, right?
Yeah. Hey, everyone, do me a quick favor. My son Jade is in the chat. Give a big shout out to Jade.
What's up, Jade?
Getting all that sun and fun down in Naples right now. Love you, kiddo.
Jade Rock with the appropriate last name is what I always say about Will. It's an appropriate last name for these guys. But yeah, so they I don't know how much you got into Roy Lopez. I was kind of listening in and out.
I didn't really get into a ton about Roy, other than the fact that it seemed like the Cardinals fans really had a lot of good things to say about Roy. I did watch. What's weird, they put out this video on Roy on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it and I'm like, did they know something was up? Like, did they know he was gone?
Mm-hmm.
Because they put out this tribute video to Roy, and I'm like, wow, it was a really good video. Matter of fact, we should just watch it while we're waiting, huh?
Fired up. Yeah. I watched, I got through about half of it.
Let me find it.
So we got Roy Lopez. I almost said Roy Williams. Yeah, old receiver. 1 year, $4.7 million deal. The Lions understood they lacked depth along the defensive interior, with Levi O still available now that has since he has since resigned. Lopez comes in as Detroit's third defensive tackle behind DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil. Reader turns 31 later this year, while McNeil has missed 7 regular season games over the last 2 seasons, which included a torn ACL in 2023. Roy Lopez is a hard-nosed player who will provide quality reps, which helps solidify this unit.
So go thumbs up in the chat if you guys want to watch the Roy Lopez tribute. It's about him and his family. It's called Cardinals Overtime. So if you want to get to know a little bit about him, I can either post it in the chat so you guys can watch it later, or I can dial it up and we can watch it, and then I'll pause it when we get breaking news. It's up to you guys. Go thumbs up in the chat. If we get enough thumbs up, we'll play it. Otherwise, we'll just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, it was interesting. Interesting video. I mean, it was one of those things that I would have never watched probably until, obviously you acquire a player, and then that's kind of the fun part too. Even if you hadn't, it wasn't like Roy Lopez wasn't on my radar. I remember him from week 3, but wasn't a name where I'm like, man, we really got to go get that guy. But, it's interesting to think, okay, why did Brad Holmes want him? Why did Dan Campbell want this guy? What's the appeal beyond just that it, works financially? What is it about this player that attracts them to signing him to a contract? So videos like this are awesome to watch, kind of get to know the player as well.
There was a hold on a second here.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I just saw an update. Nope, no update. Refresh it one more time. Anyway, there was article out by Mike Payton, which I apologize to Mike Payton earlier because I had someone doing my Twitter for me in kind of harsh words because the article was wrong, and it was about what Brad had said at the Combine, which I highlighted it. Funny enough, in my article last night, which was released this morning. Excuse me. When Brad is at the combine, he said that they were looking at the Cardinals and they were looking at the offensive side of the football and they were looking for what I thought was going to be an offensive lineman. Just so happened they found a defensive lineman. So I don't think Brad gave anything away there, at the combine. I don't know if they signed an offensive lineman or something, but he clearly has the hallmark traits of a really good general manager that is always looking, right? Always working. He's always trying to find. He's scouting everywhere he goes. That's where Roy was found, was during week 3 of last year. Now, you may have known, of Roy obviously before that, but the fact that he found him through that game, I thought was pretty incredible.
Yeah. That's a good tip too. I remember, anytime, you're watching and there's a player on the other team that's playing really well, it's a good, at least a good suggestion that, hey, this might be somebody that they go try to sign in free agency. But yeah, that was my thought too, is I thought when they signed him, I remember Brad saying that at the combine, talking about watching that game against Arizona. But then, as you pointed out, he did specifically say on the offensive side of the ball. So I don't know if that was him rerouting himself or just, being really honest. Because, of course, but your ears perk up when you hear something like that, right? You're like, oh man, who was it? Who are they looking for?
Yeah, who else is he looking at over there? That was my thing. Here, I'll dial it up for us real quick.
Yeah.
So this was combine work here, or combine presser. Make sure we have audio turned on. And if you guys haven't had a chance to check out, I am writing again. So Detroit Football Journal, you can find it on Substack. Everything is free right now. Not charging anybody. I know that I put you can subscribe in that, but I didn't think anyone would subscribe right away, but appreciate you guys for doing that. What just happened to it? It just disappeared. There we go. All right, here you go, Brad Holmes.
A really good question, because me and Dan are talking about it. Like when you're looking at when you're trying to plan for free agency and what you're trying to do, a lot of it is based on because of the injuries. Like I was looking at our game versus Arizona was at week 3, and we're looking at a free agent on the offensive side of the ball, and that was really the first time that I had seen our defense at that time, and it was like, wow, I forgot how good it was. Not saying there was not room for improvement. Of course it is. It always is. But, it was humming pretty good, both run and pass. But, when that attrition and a lot of long-term injuries, stuff that can go on through the season. So, yeah, that does affect it. So it's kind of like, man, I wish it was something like we just ignored something but injuries are part of the game. Everybody's dealing with it. But it does affect some things that you wish you didn't have to do, but you got to do what's best for the team.
I like what he says there when he says you have to do what's best for the team. He was obviously looking back then at the future. Little did he know that he was about to be faced with 21 plus injuries in injured reserve over the next 7 weeks. And it's like, and now he's thinking back right at the combine, how good the defense was in week 3.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm telling you guys, for everyone listening right now, we're starting the season off with the same guys. We were pretty damn good last year. So it's only going to get better. Some of these guys were younger last year, still a little bit raw. We're getting a couple of new faces in. They can help us get to that next level, hopefully. Maybe provide a little bit of a different spark on this team. I think bringing back Levi was probably a little bit better of an idea than I had planned for. I'm just really worried about his back injury. So the fact that they only did a 1-year deal with him, super smart. I guess give me your take on Levi. I don't know if we ever really talked about it, but what do you think about Levi coming back? Because last year you couldn't keep him out of the backfield. I mean, he was really finding his way.
Yeah, every time I think of Levi, I just remember, it was Brad Holmes' first, second round pick, and he loved him. And it was somebody that I remember at the time, he wasn't even necessarily mocked to the Lions. So you're kind of, like, man, what was he so drawn to this guy? I just know, man, if you have a team that wins 15 games And if I say, well, are you expecting that team to be good again next year? The answer should probably hinge on, well, how many of those players are coming back? Right. And there is certainly injury concern, but it's a 1-year deal and you've got to keep as much of the culture intact. I mean, if the same can be true or said for any player, you have to be able to stay on the field, obviously. But I like Levi O, man. I think he's a good player. I'd rather spend that money on him than the same amount of money on also on a 1-year deal with a player that, coming in from the outside. Assuming it's somebody kind of in that same tier of player, but I am happy that he's coming back.
Okay, so earlier, yesterday, I believe, it was yesterday. Yeah, it was March 11th. So yeah, yesterday. I put out a best available defensive line options for the Detroit Lions. DeMarcus Lawrence was listed on that in that article. I had him in there. The numbers didn't matter where they were slotted. That's just the way that it was written. I had in there that he would probably average at least $12 million per year if he gets re-signed. And that's why I was not high for the Detroit Lions on bringing him in. He's going to be too expensive. And DeMarcus Lawrence just signed with the, looks like the Seattle Seahawks, apparently. 3 years, $42 million max deal, $18 million guaranteed. So that's just a little bit more than 12 a year. It's more like 14 mil a year. So that's exactly why you're not seeing players like that come to Detroit. Too much money. Is it just me, Riley, or does it seem like all of what could be considered as the best players right now in the league are just older? Like older.
Yeah. It's the guys with established names that are going and getting going where the money's at, which can't fault them for. But yeah, there's no like young up and coming player really that's seemingly available. These are all guys that, have been in the league for a while that are probably past their prime that, people are bringing in on, name value, I guess.
Well, he's 32. He's 32 years old, and he just signed a 3-year, $42 million deal with 18 mil guaranteed. So no matter what, he's making 18 mil off the deal. He could get hurt week 1 and be done forever, and they could walk away from him. He gets 18 million bucks. So I mean, that's not terrible. I mean, from the sense of the guarantee that you gave him, like that's great. But when it balloons up like that from 6 million to 14 or 15 million a year, that's where the Lions are going to get themselves in trouble if they just go out and just willy-nilly sign players. Auteur has a question. He says, I like Preston Smith as an older guy, also 32 years old, but never gets hurt and plays every down needed. Thoughts? I don't really have anything on Preston. I'd have to be honest. Like I don't know him that well. Definitely haven't watched a whole lot of his actions. So all balls, no D. What's happening?
Yeah, I like the Jay Cruzen's comment here, and that's something I wanted to throw out to you because I know you mentioned last night in your stream that maybe Zadarius Smith would be back, and if that's the case, we should know maybe by the end of the day, maybe into tomorrow. But do you think that's still on the table? Zadarius Smith return to Detroit?
I hope so. I mean, that was the biggest rumor, that they cut him for cap saving purposes, but it wasn't just cap saving purposes. I mean, as a unrestricted free agent, you have these backdoor deals that happen all the time. Last year it happened with Kyle Pecco, where he immediately came back to the team as soon as he was able after cuts. These guys that are unrestricted, that can do whatever they want, why would Zadarius want to go anywhere else? He's got relationships now in Detroit. I'm sure as hell he's not going back to the Browns. So it only makes sense to try to finish out your career with your last team. And if he gets a deal, I mean, I guess we'd have to look at all of the edge rusher deals right now and kind of see what's been given out. We're seeing what Brad's doing. These $5.5, $4.75 million 1-year deals. What will it take to get Z in the house? 7, 8, 9? I think 9's the max for me. Like 9, cool. Anything beyond that, not cool. The fact that you released him and you saved $16 million, and if you bring him back for 8 or 9, well, you still saved half of his contract. then it makes sense.
Yeah. When the Lions acquired him during the season, that was my first thought. It was like, I thought this makes sense because you get him for the rest of the year and then into next year. And then I also just seemingly overlooked the contract because I thought it was just a shoo-in that he was going to be back next year. So we'll see. Maybe that's the number that Smith has said. Maybe that's what his agent has says. Hey, we want 9. And maybe Holmes is saying, well, let's see how things play out the next few days. You know, we'd love to have him back, but let's see what the market dictates.
Yeah. So when I'm looking at like Pride of Detroit saying that it saves $10.97 million for the Lions over the next 2 years, what I read is that there was another $5.25 million next year cap hit. So it was $16 million. It was like $16.25 million for Zadarius Smith. So I'm not sure where they're coming up with that number of only 10.97.
What were your thoughts on Levi O? I'm sure you did go over him in depth, but are you excited about having him back?
For Levi?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was not high on him because of the injury. I did not want to see this guy get like a 3-year deal. A 1-year deal, great. I'm cool with that because the back injury, it only comes from a place of, you know, I've been there, done that. I'm fused in the neck and the lower back. I know what it's like to live with it. I would have no idea what it's like to be an NFL football player playing from, you know what I mean, getting the crap kicked out of you every day. And if you just one wrong move and something can happen, right? So that's what I'm worried about. And I'm glad they didn't do a multi-year deal. I think that this is huge for the Lions, to be honest with you. As long as he can come in and stay healthy, I think that Levi's a big deal. He would, you could not keep him out of the backfield last year. He was matter of fact, I mean, let me try to find some stats on him because he was one of the best through like the first few weeks of the season.
Yeah, I'm happy he's back, man. And the other thing too is with Smith, and I know I'm jumping around all over, but I guess that's kind of what we're doing here, just talking free agency and all these thoughts are, you know, running through the mind. But I want to see the line with Smith on one side and Hutch on the other side and get to a point where Aleem's healthy. I just want to see what it looks like. Just give me like obviously want more than a game, but I want to see it play out and see what that could look like. Because as Brad Holmes was talking about in that press conference at the Combine, he's like, man, I was watching that game and you can tell he's kind of reminiscing. He's like, our defense was humming, man. We were defending the pass well. We were stopping the run well. The defense was good enough with health. The defense was good enough to win a Super Bowl this last year. 100%.
Yeah. So let me throw this at you. San Francisco was being pushed to try to sign Levi. And here's the quote. In his first season of regular run with the Detroit Lions, Onwuzurike turned heads in 2024, producing 47 pressures to go along with a 66.5 PFF run defense grade. That run defense mark would have been better than any other 49ers defensive lineman other than Nick Bosa.
There you go. That's
so
good.
He had a powerful season last year. He really did a lot for himself, and now he's going to have to double it up. So I like the signing, the prove it deal, which is what it is. I'm not calling it a contender deal because he was already part of the team. But the prove it deal is to say, you know what, Levi, you're 27. Now prove it one more time. You stayed healthy in 24. Go prove it one more time. And then we'll talk in 26. But I still think the Lions are grabbing a defensive tackle in this draft. And then you probably won't see Levi back next year. Possibly. But possibly on Levi, I'm almost 100% on the defensive tackle.
As being a draft pick. Has to be, right?
Warren King says Walter Football just gave the Lions an A+ grade for the Levi signing. They don't hand out many A+ grades. That I haven't watched or used Walter Football in a long time. Matter of fact, my dad is the one that told me about that. You know, like I just thought that was, you know, old man dad. Like what website are you on? Pretty decent website. They got some good stuff there.
And Craig Reynolds coming back.
Yep, Craig. We talked about Craig.
Got it. Okay.
Craig.
1 year deal. So it's a lot of 1 year deals.
It's all 1 year deals right now. The only players that haven't received a 1 year deal is DJ Reed, and Barnes, and I think that's it. Just Barnes and Reed.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the only two. Now, last Friday, you were talking about DJ Reed. You were high on DJ Reed. I was not. Was there anything that you pointed out in his, his play or his tape or anything that you've watched with DJ Reed that you liked about him? I want to dive into him. I kind of walked away from him, so let me pull up some information on him.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of jokingly pumping myself up and saying that I called it. I didn't. It was just, it was Eric was giving us some names of, would you like to see this guy in Detroit? To be honest, I thought that DJ Reed would get kind of the same contract as Carlton Davis. So if you just said apples to apples, they both get 2 years at 40 million, or they both get 3 at 60 million. For the sake of continuity, I probably would have rather have kept Davis, but especially taking into consideration the $48 million that Reed gets, you're saving $12 million. If you use that money smart, it fills other holes on the team. I know I saw, and I'm trying to verify this too. Did DJ Reed lead the league last year in pass interferences? There's a lot of Vikings and Bears and Packers fans that I saw taking stabs at that, saying, between he and Arnold, they're going to be thrown, for a flag on every play.
All right, DJ Reed penalties. Let me find it here. I'm sure it's probably right here. Last season. Oh boy. What do we got going on here? Game by game. Oh my. Wow. Okay. It looks like he's a defensive pass interference machine. So he had 1 against New England. He had 2 against Minnesota, 2 against Buffalo, 1 against Arizona, holding against Seattle, 2 pass interference against Miami, and then 2 more illegal use of hands against Buffalo. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 defensive pass interference or holding or illegal use of hands penalties. So those are all 15 plus yarders at a minimum. It's either spot foul or 15. And he had, so he lost 34 yards, 18 yards, 24 yards, 23 yards, 0 yards. So there was an offsetting penalty there. So that was good. 15 yards, 5 yards on this one. 0 yards on this one. Not sure why. Maybe it got called back. No, it wasn't declined. I was at the goal line. 23 yards. So 147 yards is what he gave up. 147 yards is what he gave up. That's a lot. Let's compare it we'll compare it to Terry and Arnold.
Yeah, so that certainly is a cause for concern there. The things that you like about DJ Reed, I mean, he comes in, he's a relatively healthy player. He's not coming in where we're already thinking, is this one of these guys that Brad Holmes is signing, that we're relying on health to be in our favor when it hasn't been in the past. He's had a pretty good, stay. He's had such an interesting career arc too, because it's not like he came in and immediately was a star player. He just gradually got more and more playing time. But he's the one thing I like about Reed is a little bit like, just the fight in a guy that I know you talked about. He's only 5'9". That's as tall as me, and I look at it and I'm like, man, it's the Meek, Robertson, and DJ Reed. These guys got to be so damn tough to compete at this level. But I like DJ Reed. Everything I've seen from him too, him coming up in the run game. I mean, he doesn't shy away from contact. So he's an aggressive player. I imagine he and Amik are going to make a good kind of combo, and then you're relying. I don't know. Is DJ Reed the cornerback number one, or can Terrion Arnold take that role over?
Oh, Terrion Arnold's for sure number one. Looks like did I just read that Kevin Zeitler is not re-signing with the Lions?
Really?
Yeah. It's just reported by Ian Rappaport. Free agent Kevin Zeitler, one of the best and most durable free agent lineman left, is expected to sign with the Titans. Let's bring it in. There it is. Kevin Zeitler is gone. A $9 million deal. And that's exactly what I said I would pay for the dude. Was $9 million bucks. I had Kevin Zeitler on my list. Oh, this is huge loss for the Lions, but they got a plan. Actually, I had Kevin Zeitler at $7.5 million. That's where I thought that he would end up, but he's out. So with family in Nashville and the opportunity to work with an offensive line guru in Bill Callahan, according to Ian Rappaport, this makes sense. Does it? Is Hank Fraley not a guru anymore? Where's the love and feeling at? They lost the love and feeling?
Right.
Come on, man. All right, we were talking about peace out, Kevin. We'll see you next time. Terrion Arnold. So talking about Terrion and DJ Reed, two peas in a pod, man. Terrion Arnold had 167 yards last year in penalties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pass interference. 1, 2, 3, 3 defensive holdings. So that's 10. And then a face mask. Let's see. All of them were called. None were declined. And you know what I will say, though, about Terrion? Between week 4 and week 9, he had nothing.
Right.
And then between week 10 and 14, there was nothing. And then from 14, from the rest of the season, there was nothing. So he went like week 1, 2, 3, and 4 were the worst of it.
Yeah, he got them all out of the way early.
The first quarter of the season, I mean, he was just balls to the wall. I'm holding everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, he only had 3 more penalties. So what I will say about Terrion is he slimmed way down as the season went along. The difference with DJ Reed, though, and this is, I'm glad they have this stat here. He's been consistent. He had his best years in 20, 21, and 22, where he averaged about 3 penalties a season. Last year, he had 9. The year before that, he had 6. So is it a defensive scheme adjustment with the Jets? I don't know. I don't know if they made any adjustments there. I mean, remember, Robert Saleh wasn't there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they had some sort of an adjustment. I don't know. We'll see. But I will say this. I'm less worried about it. I'd rather have these guys be aggressive. I'd rather have them be right there in the pocket, but 15 yards away. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say. Brandon Scherf would be a solid Zeitler replacement. He would. I would agree with you there. I think that he would.
It's interesting because we talked about the trajectory for Terrion. With DJ Reed, says he has been better at avoiding penalties. He had been better at avoiding penalties earlier in his career. He was flagged just 8 times from 2020 to 2022. So he's, they've increased more as time has gone on. But, you know, that's, I mean, he was the number 1 rated available defensive back. And, you know, if you get the number 1 guy at a position, the last time that happened for the Lions, and it didn't work out as well either, was Trey Flowers.
Mm-hmm.
But you lose Carlton Davis, you fill in that gap with DJ Reed. I'm just glad that it's a veteran and you're not drafting somebody and saying, you know, having too young of a defensive back room. What did Darius Slay sign for?
I don't remember. I don't remember, but real quick here, there was a question /point /statement, I think. Victor Mack says, how many touchdowns resulted from the penalties and how many of those games were lost in games with those penalties? Are we talking about Terrion or Reed? Because I don't think the Jets had a good season last year. So I couldn't answer that. But as far as Terrion goes, I want to say that there was probably a handful of those penalties that maybe were touchdown related or a touchdown happened shortly after the penalty. but I don't think it was too bad. I'm speculating, kind of going off, random memories here. I don't have stats for that, just ready to rock and roll. So to answer that, I was more impressed with Tyrion's rookie season than I was not. Let's put it that way. I think he had a pretty good rookie season. Year 1 is the hardest for corners. Year 2, he's going to have a major step up, and he's in a system that I think that they praise these guys being aggressive. So there's no reason to back off. Dan says this all the time. I'll take the penalty. I'd rather have my guys stay aggressive.
Yep.
Now obviously at some point you got to get in these guys' heads and say, look, we're in the fourth quarter now. It's a tight ball game. So, you can't be doing this stuff. You got to back up a little bit.
Have a high IQ, in-game IQ for sure.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, Will, and I know we got to kind of process this, but does losing Zeitler change anything for you as far as what the Lions might do in the draft?
Nope. I still think that the Lions are looking at an offensive lineman in the draft. So I said this the other day, after I analyzed the draft a little bit more after the combine, and I've put all the measurements together, what used to be a loaded tackle draft, and then they are tackles by, just the term that's what they were playing in college. I think they're more going to fit as guards at the next level. So I think we're going to have a lot of transition from tackle to guard, which means this is a guard heavy draft for me. There's only a couple, maybe 3 or 4 tackles that I would take in the first round. So after that, it's guard heavy for me, probably into the 3rd round. You could still get a pretty decent guard, which is what the Lions will need. You're going to push, Graham now to the right, and you're going to put Mahogany to the left. So we're good. Graham did not have a good last year on, left tackle. He did not. He played terribly. So I think that you'll see that change right away. What I'm worried about is Mahogany and Taylor Decker. How are they going to work together? And maybe this is an opportunity for Taylor Decker to, kind of dip into his training hat, you know what I mean? And be more of that mentor to Mahogany. So he's going to kind of take the guy underneath his wings a little bit. So maybe that'll keep him a little bit more engaged this season and allow for better play, because last year, man, Taylor was swimming like he was a fish out of water. And he had let up 8 sacks, I think, back-to-back seasons now. And this is coming from a guy at Ohio State that didn't allow a sack for like 2.5 years, 2.5 seasons. So that's a big change. When you see a big change like that for somebody, that tells you something's off. I'm not high on Decker. I mean, like I said, he's the 2nd highest paid player on this roster, and he's not performing. And you see other teams move off of guys like that.
Yeah, it's the cold reality of the business.
Yeah, it is. Even though, so I'm more willing and able to cut the relationship. It's not who I am like as a person, right? But from a business sense, you have to. Brad has to. He can't be tethered to these guys. He has to be able to say, look, man, I love you. I appreciate you. But you got to go.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
It's what they just did with Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
You got to just be able to kill the emotion of it and just do what's best for the franchise. Now, Taylor Decker, I'm very confident in him, thankful for everything that he has done for the Lions and believe that he can continue to produce. But yeah, it's be interesting to see kind of, that'll be one of the storylines this season, is how he performs and then what that, entails for the future. Because with such a high bar set, with the Lions having such a good offense and such a good offensive line, the problem with being number 1 or at the top of anything is the only place to go is down, right? And so, imagine if Goff struggles this upcoming year and there's questions on the offensive line, and then you're just thinking, man, God, in 2024 we were that 15 wins.
If Goff struggles this year, I can already see what's going to happen. You know, if he struggles this year, the fans are going to melt down. They're all the ones that are going to come out of the woodwork from 3 years ago and say, I told you so. I told you so, yeah. But we forgot about the last, 26 wins. But I told you so. That's what will happen.
Yep. Yeah, it will. See, he's a product of Ben Johnson.
All right, so what else we have popping off here? I don't see much more action here on Ian Rappaport.
Let's see.
The last few announcements have been DeMarcus Lawrence. Cowboys finishing up a deal with linebacker Kenneth Murray from the Titans trade. And looks like the Colts and Khalil Herbert have agreed to a 1-year deal. And then Kevin Zeitler, obviously on his way down to Tennessee. And the deal is now done for Kenneth Murray to be a Cowboy.
So, and you are 100% out on Cooper Kupp to the Lions. Is that because of how much he gets paid, or if he was on a much smaller contract, would you be more amenable to it? Or
look, money talks, right? So if it's low cap, yes. If it's low cap, I would take a risk on anyone.
Sure.
You would have then 2 Amon-Ra St. Browns, though. You'd have a young version and an old version. That's what you got. That's what Cooper Kupp is. Mm-hmm. He's a slot merchant just like Amon-Ra St. Brown. We need someone that's big that can go over the top. So that's my only concern there is we need to get bigger on the outside.
That's true.
It doesn't mean that you can't win with 2 Cooper Kupps. You could. Absolutely you could. And it would give Amon-Ra St. Brown a little bit of a breather, at times. But I'm just saying I'd rather see that 6'4" guy in the draft, and there's plenty of them. 6'3", 6'2.5", 6'3.5". There's plenty of them between round 2 and 5 in this draft where I think the Lions will be able to find somebody. I got to update my article real quick. If you want to, can you scan and see if you can find the available free agents real quick?
Yeah, let me pull this real quick. Here's an article of Aaron Rodgers is intrigued with the Minnesota Vikings. I'm sure that he is.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I can't imagine. I just can't imagine that happening.
Okay, let's see. Let me get a list of best available remaining.
Yeah, there should be one like on Spotrac or PFF or Over the Cap. One of those 3 should be there.
And let's see if I can get one that's got more up to date, because this is what I've got here is a list of all free agents, but we know a lot of these guys have already been signed. So give me just one moment. I don't know if we had that video, Roy Lopez. I saw a handful of thumbs up if people wanted to watch that. It's not too long.
It's 13 minutes. Yeah, I'll queue it up. Let me get it up. Let's see here.
While that's loading up, available quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston comes in at number 3. Mac Jones,
Jameis
Carson
Winston.
Wentz. Yeah.
I thought he was gone a long time ago.
Now he's most recently employed by the Browns, and I don't think he is signed with a new team just yet. Cooper Rush and Trey Lance. And then running backs, you've got J.K. Dobbins still out there, Nick Chubb, Rico Dowdle, A.J. Dillon, Kareem Hunt, Gus Edwards, Alexander Madison, Cam Akers, Miles Sanders, and then Evan Ingram from tight ends, but he went to the Denver Broncos. That's a good get for them.
Yeah, that was a really good. That was a really good get for them.
You were highlighting Denver
Needing a tight end.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, I'm gonna give this a play here.
I'm proud to be your son. Proud to be your nephew, your friend, your cousin, grandson.
Roy Lopez.
Thank you for the
So
amount
this
of
is
time,
our
energy,
new nose tackle.
money, everything you've spent to support me, support my dreams. You know, it's been a great ride, and I think the best part about it is we're not even done. We're still going, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about my family and how deserving they are to be talked about. It's everything to me, man. We depend on each other for so much. It's amazing, man, for what they've done for me. We're so dependable on everybody in our family. Like my off-season trainer is my cousin, right? My D-line coach is my Theo. It's my best friend is my sisters, my dad, my mom. Like,
We'll be back in a few minutes. We'll let this roll for a few minutes.
anybody
We'll
that
get,
hangs
we'll
out
get a
with me,
few
anybody
things.
that knows anything about me, they know I spend all my time with my family.
We're gonna get a few things set up. We'll let this play for a few minutes, and then we'll be right back.
All day.
We'll be right here with you
them.
guys.
And I do.
Send your questions.
I always say that I'm just the face of my two families.
Besides his father, Roy's biggest influence when it came to the game of football was his uncle.
We were fortunate enough, like we've been talking about, as a family. His son is by age closest to Jacob, so they were able to play youth football, go into high school together, and being able to be there for all that growth, going into football camps or going into clinics, and being able to see other athletes from all over the state. And I know I'm biased, but being as his defensive line coach from high school, transitioning into college, you start to see and pick up different talent or lack of sometimes. And I just felt, even in high school, the way he was able to position himself, the use of his hands, his football IQ, I just thought he was going to be something special. I thought he was going to be able to carry in everything that he had from high school right into college, and then obviously make his dream come true. But it was super special to have family around and watch him and help him get better every phase of the game.
Roy's family is never far away, including on game day. At home, on the road, it doesn't matter. Roy always has a very large cheering section.
I'm just the guy out there running that I can feel him. I can feel him in the stands. I can literally hear them over thousands and thousands of people. I can see, like, I look in the stands and I see my dad, I see my Theo, I see my sisters and my niece and my nephew. Like, Sunday is a great day for my family, and I'm just blessed and fortunate enough to be the one that goes out there and play on the field. They deserve it. They deserve this tackle. They deserve this TFL. They deserve this sack. They deserve that when I run out of the tunnel and they say Roy Lopez, like, they deserve to say that's my brother.
When I saw him run out of the tunnel the first time here at the Cardinal Stadium, the smile on his face was so huge. I'll never forget it. He was so happy to be able to watch the Cardinals as a child and then now run out of that tunnel.
Man, like I said, I'm just the face of two great families that invested everything in me. And anybody that's from the Valley or has gotten to meet my family understands what I'm talking about when I say it's so much love and so much smiles and so much happiness, so much laughter that literally runs through them, and people gravitate towards my family.
The family support at games, it extends beyond just their presence.
There's not a single possession that I come off the field and don't look in the stands.
You know, he's going to say that he looks up to see what to do next or how he's playing. He knows very well what to do next and how he's going to handle the situations that's coming at him. He looks up because he knows we're looking down, and I think it's just reassurance. He wants to. That's him saying thank you by looking up and acknowledging the fact that we're there. Whether we're in Philadelphia, whether we're in New York, we're in San Francisco, we're in LA, he's looking to acknowledge and say thank you for being there. Yeah, we talk, and I'll let him know in a nice way when he needs to keep his hands up or keep his feet running or stay lower. When he needs to, get a little bit more oomph in his get off. But he knows exactly what we're doing. But I think more than anything, what I take out of it, he's just saying thank you.
One of the biggest things you learn from me is to have fun with it, and I think that's one of the coolest things that I've been told, whether, it's a move or it's anything else, but the fact to just have fun with it, smile about it, because you dreamed your whole life to be right here. When I look in the stands, like, that's the same thing for them. They've dreamt their whole life to play in the NFL. And then now that wasn't a thing, my whole life they've dreamt for me to play in the NFL. And to do it for the Arizona Cardinals was something that, man, I couldn't tell you how happy everybody was when I called and told them the night that I was going to sign here.
As much as wearing the Arizona Cardinals uniform means to Roy, it was another uniform, his grandfather's high school uniform, that means the most to him.
It was a humbling moment for me to walk into the stadium with his jersey on. I thought this is a complete example of what a man is, what it's like to sacrifice, what it's like to put everybody else, put work, but everything else first, and mainly put himself last, and he's got a village that he's raised, him and my nana has raised, and to walk in with a Superior High School jersey, right, like small town Arizona, people probably never heard of it, and he went on to become a police officer for Phoenix PD.
To talk about our law enforcement family, my father started with the Phoenix Police Department in 1967. I joined the police department in '88. My brother joined the police department in 2001. And then our sister started in another agency and then lateraled over to Phoenix in 2009. So since 1967 to this current date, there's been a Gomez on the Phoenix Police Department.
It's pretty cool. After the game, I got him to sign my jersey. Like, people sign their jerseys, and that one's gonna go up on my wall. Man, I'll keep that thing forever.
Some of the things that police officers take pride in is not so much what we do every day, but we tell each other it's what we might have to do. With that mentality, you're gonna have to keep working hard, if not work harder than everybody else, and just trying to always have that in the back of his head. Like, I know I'm gonna be at practice today, but tomorrow I'm gonna have to work even twice as hard as I did today.
Born and raised in Arizona and now getting to play for the hometown team, Roy takes great pride in that. He also takes great pride in giving back, specifically giving back to a community that has given him so much.
The biggest thing for me when I go into the community is to laugh, to smile, to enjoy it, because I truly do. Because I also understand how much that can change somebody's life, that can change somebody's day, change my day.
I would say the entire Lopez family, right? Their love language, so to speak, is active service. From Roy Lopez's mom to his dad to his grandpa to everywhere. They're giving back to the community one way or the other, whether they're a police officer or they're coaching, football for the little kids. And with his platform being a local kid, he has this chance to really build a community around his name and around the Roy Lopez Foundation to do good. And that's all he wants to do. That's all the Lopez family really wants to do, is give back to their community that they grow up in.
The Roy Lopez Foundation helps young kids and with their athletics and getting them ready and skills. We like to provide equipment and things like that. We also help with the foster kids and donations. My son Roy just likes giving back. It's his favorite thing to do.
I truly love to do it. I truly love to spend the time and laugh, and especially being from here and understand, ask people where they're from. We know, people in common in such a small world here, and especially I get to do it with my foundation of my family, and they already do those things, right? They've already given back to the community in their specific way, whether it's a police officer, a football coach, a hairdresser, a blue-collar worker, someone that has always given back to the community. So I see it as my way of doing it my way, right? Of being an NFL football player to give back to the community. And the foundation is purely on our motto of BTB, right? It stands for Be the Best.
The ability to give back to your community is something that we've done as a family since my mother ingrained it in us. It's just something that's a part of our culture. It's part of who we are, and it's an honor. I just believe in servant leadership. I think the best thing that you can do as a person is to give of yourself, and I think that reflects a definition of love, and I believe that love is what we're here for.
Obviously, being related to Roy's mom, and then even on his dad's side, being a teacher, a special education teacher, you see all aspects of life and how much they revolve around each other. So whether we're serving our community by work or just being out of the goodness of our heart or our hearts to make sure that the community is better for everybody.
Be the best. He labels it as such, to be the best student you can be the best athlete you can be the best son you can be the best person you can be. And those attributes just reflect, I think, his everyday efforts. To see him in those events, I get a sense of pride, and I can't imagine how he feels as the person giving back in a space where it means so much to him personally, to the community as a whole, and to our family.
It has nothing to do with football. It's be the best you every single day. Be the best brother, sister, friend, mom, dad, and never take a day for granted. And it's something that I've been told since I was a little kid. BTB, be the best. I'm just a part of this big, crazy world, crazy family, and thank you for the amount of lives you guys have touched, the amount of lives you guys have changed. I'm truly grateful to be a part of it, and I love you.
Man, what a awesome video, huh? That's good work, man. Great work by the Cardinals. I just typed a little message in there. Love to meet the Lopez family. It seems like we all have a lot more in common than we don't, right?
Yes.
They're talking about what? Doing it for others, right? Constantly just doing it for others. BTB, be the best you can be. Love it. It's a great message. I can't imagine it only got 1.7 thousand views. That's craziness, man. That should be everywhere. Every Detroit Lions fan should be watching that.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to kind of watch that and play it all the way through. And then, it's easy to get behind these guys as soon as they're wearing your jersey. But, I mean, it makes sense, man. The guy was a 2-star recruit coming out of high school. And if you're Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, you say, okay, how do you build on a team that's won 15 games? Well, you got to go find guys that are going to be open to a smaller deal. Like, hey, man, come here. You see what we've been doing. Come be part of it. We're going to give you, $4 million, $5 million or whatever. And guess what? If you come in and if you play your ass off and if you fall in line and you contribute to a winning team, you're going to capitulate that into a bigger contract. And if you're a football player, that's music to your ears. That's all you can ask for, unless you're a top 10 pick,
he's definitely worked for everything he has, without a doubt. I mean, he's worked his tail off to get to where he is today. It'd be interesting to see how just how he works out in Detroit. I'm excited to see. I'll be sporting the BTB brand if he has some sort of shirt. I don't know if he does or not. We'll make him one.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's your update. Chukwuma Okafor, left tackle, is now a Jet. Isaiah Oliver, cornerback, is now a Jet. Safety, Ardarius Washington, is now a Raven. Jonathan Jones, cornerback, is now a Commander. And then Benjamin St. Juste, a cornerback, is now a Charger. That is the news since the Kevin Zeitler news. And then now I have the top ranked players that are supposedly available. I posted it in the chat so you guys can take a look at it too. Let's see here.
Has Ojulari signed anywhere yet?
Nope. Not at least according to this list. I have not heard his name pop off yet.
That really surprises me.
They're probably holding out for better money. It was the only thing that I can think. I just had let me go back to the link that I popped in. It's like, I think my link changed. It's saying go to channel. When I post a link in YouTube, isn't it supposed to be a link that you can look up?
Should be, yeah.
Yeah, it's telling me to go to YouTube. That's just really odd.
I just pulled up. Let's see.
It won't let me open it.
That's weird. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, I should have been on The Athletic. All right, here we go. I got it now. Okay, so they broke this down by tiers of who's available. Now, they're saying that these players are available, and I know some of them can't be. Tier 2. So all the Tier 1 guys are gone. Tier 2 is Stephon Diggs. He's the only player left in Tier 2. Tier 3 is Zadarius Smith, and he's ahead of Aaron Rodgers. I love that. Aaron Rodgers is number 23. Mekhi Becton. So Mekhi Becton, last season, since I've seen his name in the chat a few times, we'll speak on him here. Mekhi Becton's 2024 season was a wonderful success story, according to The Athletic. He hit the market last spring as an inconsistent, injury-prone offensive tackle, ranking 92nd on the offensive lineman list. The Eagles signed him for $2.75 million to play guard, and he thrived next to a potential Hall of Fame right tackle in Lane Johnson. Sound familiar? If you were to take this guy and throw him next to Penei Sewell. And then also under an acclaimed offensive line coach, Jeff Stoutland, excuse me. He had a career season. Major rise in you know who he is as a player today. So Becton has spoken highly of the Eagles, and perhaps he'll take less to stay in Philly. How much less can you take than 2.75? You can't take less than that. But history suggests Howie Roseman is more likely to look for the next Becton than pay him at his peak value. So Becton is a mauler in the run game, but he still has issues as a pass blocker. He's got a 6% pressure rate, which allowed a ranking of 50. He was 55th rank among guards, minimum 200 pass blocking snaps. So in all, guy's not bad. Played almost 88% of snaps last season. He only allowed a 6% pressure rate, had 4 penalties and 3 sacks. So if he's still available, I think that the problem is more than likely he's probably looking to cash in, especially after a year like that and winning a Super Bowl.
Right.
So,
yeah, you view yourself as royalty if you're on a Super Bowl winning team. It's like, hey, you want me to come to your team? Well, pay me more than, give me financial reason.
Yeah.
So it's a waiting game.
Looks like we lost about 70 people when we played the video.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
So anyway, moving on. Tevin Jenkins, he's also available. Tevin Jenkins from the Bears, 27 years old, 6'6", 320 pounds. Jenkins started a career-high 14 games in his 4th season, finally fighting off an injury bug, and he's now primed to get paid, according to this. He's also a run mauler, has improved in pass pro since moving inside to left guard from right and left tackle. So that's also a fit. We do need a left tackle. We need a left guard. Well, actually, we could go either because I think Mahogany can do either. I think Mahogany's primary snaps last year were left guard, yeah?
I believe they were, yes.
I think they were too. Let me look it up. Man, Mahogany had great grades last year. 80.8 in the run blocking grade, 82.6 in the pass blocking grade, 81.6 overall at 6'3", 322 pounds. I remember when we picked this guy up last year out of the draft, I couldn't believe it. I mean, this is a guy that I had in the 2nd round. And he slips all the way to the 6th.
Yeah,
and I guess the story was that he had a one leg longer than the other by like an inch.
Yeah.
And you know what I said? I said, well, that's cool. It just depends on which leg it is. If it's your set leg and you're playing right guard and it's the right leg, well, then great. If it's that anchor leg, perfect.
Yeah.
That just means you're dipping your shoulder pads down a little bit more. That's great.
Yeah.
And if it's left guard and it's the left, set leg, then perfect. I guess it depends on which one.
Yeah, I think, and Mahogany, the refrain I'm seeing from some people too is that, oh, now Zeitler's gone. Now Mahogany was, I feel like, a starter all the way.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He's starting this upcoming season. So now is Graham Glasgow coming back next year?
Yeah, he's signed for another 2 years.
See, so yeah, and I like Graham. I mean, I remember seeing him play in person when he was at Michigan. And Jake Rudock was their quarterback, and then because they opened the season against Utah, it was Harbaugh's first game there, and Glasgow. But man, yeah, he had a rough year last year.
I think he had a rough year with Decker. I think him and Decker were just off. Because the year before that, he was doing great at every position.
Yeah, it was so weird. He went to Denver, seemingly fell off a cliff, and then came back to Detroit, and it's like, oh, we got Graham again, and then. But it's
okay. So real quick here on Mahogany. He had 65 snaps at left guard. He had 8 snaps at right guard. He had 2 snaps at tight end. So left guard is where he was. I could have sworn he got in more than 65 snaps. So he played at least one full game, if not, partial game and a full game. That's why his grades are so high. So left guard, we should be good. Mahogany.
Yeah, he started the game against Chicago, filling in for Graham, I think.
Still seeing ads. Was I supposed to turn off ads or something? Oh, we got 115 likes. I guess we can turn off ads. This is a long day. Channel's got to make some money at some point. All right. So let's see here. Going back to this list. So Tevin Jenkins, according to this, he's still available. And Mekhi Becton, he's still available. Both of them could be options for guard. Probably too expensive. Right now. Skipping down here, like Keenan Allen, J.K. Dobbins, Amari Cooper, Russell Wilson. Don't care about any of them. Asante Samuel, still available. All that talk about Asante Samuel being a good fit for Brad. And now we signed Reed. So I don't necessarily see us signing a bunch more corners, but I guess we got to look at this realistically here. Is Khalil Dorsey coming back? Is Kendall Vildor coming back? Right now, Carlton Davis is the only one that is signed elsewhere. There's been no new signings over the last hour for the Lions. Let me look at my sheet, what I had on those guys. So,
yeah, it seems oh, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go for it.
Yeah, it seems like the Lions are getting a lot of good. I think you did make mention of that too. A lot of good grade or reception for keeping Levi O at the price point that they did. Obviously, Levi didn't have a ton of negotiating or leverage, right? But there's no way when I woke up this morning, if you told me that Zeitler went to Tennessee, I mean, I guess go where the money's at, but yeah, I don't know. Why not?
So I had Vildor, or I had Dorsey coming back and Vildor not coming back. I had Mosley not coming back. I was warm on Carlton Davis, meaning it could have gone either way, but I expected him to get, upwards of what he got. So the Lions could still be players for another corner, but the thing is, we don't need an Asante Samuel. I mean, yeah, it'd be great if you could get a guy like that super cheap. Not going to happen.
Yeah. Why would he sign for cheap?
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Brandon Scherf is also available. He's also 33 years old. So you're looking at the number 5 pick out of 2015's draft. He's had some injury-plagued seasons. And then he left Washington. And then he kind of found this fountain of youth, I guess, in Florida. You should probably stay in Florida then. You don't want to come to Michigan. That's the opposite of fountain of youth. It's a fountain of death up here with its cold. Snow. Forget the snow. So anyway, solid pass blocker, 2.9% pressure rate. Is the best in the class. So he had a really good year last year. Played 98% of snaps, only 2.9% pressure rate. Brandon Scherf sounds like a really good option here for the Lions. I'm not sure on his arm length, though. I better look at that first. 33.5 inches. He's in it to win it. He's 6'5". He's 319. 11-inch hands. Holy paws. And 33.5-inch arms. He's a big boy. That is definitely an offensive lineman. And he's a guard at that size? Yeah, Brandon Scherf so far seems to me like the guy that would make the most sense size-wise. Tevin Jenkins, probably not, only because he's going to want too much money. And I think the same thing with Mekhi Becton. He's also going to get a lot of money. He's young. He's 26. Tevin Jenkins is 27. I think Scherf makes a lot more sense. 33, one-year deal, $7, $8, $9 million for that year. I don't know what he make last year. Let's find out. Wow, it's already 6 o'clock. I'm going to have to get off here soon.
I got a question kind of percolating in my mind that maybe we can save for a morning show, but would like to get your thoughts on if there is a position right now that you're like as 99.9% sure, as convinced as you can be, that the Lions will not draft.
Okay, repeat that. Is there a position that I feel like the Lions would not draft?
Yeah, right now, and again, that could be a whole conversation too, but as of now, where you said, yeah, they're not, like they re-signed Craig Reynolds. They're probably not drafting a running back. Probably not drafting a quarterback, right? What are the positions where you could definitively say you'd be stunned if they drafted a player at that position?
I mean, I guess I would say that I would be stunned that it would be a running back because they have Sione Vaki, who clearly they're trying to work into that number 3 spot.
Mm-hmm.
But Montgomery, he only has one more year on his contract after this year. So you've got Craig this year, you've got Sione Vaki for another 3 seasons, and then Montgomery's done after not this year but next year. So like I said, I would say that I would be shocked that it would be a running back at this point. But BPA all day will tell you that if Ashton Genty is staring you at the face at 28, Brad's going to pull the trigger. And then he's probably going to trade Montgomery, even though we would have 2 of the exact same back. he would definitely pull the trigger because someone would probably want to trade for him too anyway.
Yeah, it'd be too good a value to.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't see that anymore either. Like, you don't see teams that back in the day that would draft a player just to turn around and trade that player.
Yeah.
You don't see that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They just trade the picks.
Yep.
So back to Scherf here. So last year he made 11.6, we'll call it. He had 11.6 cap hit and a $24 million dead cap hit. So he was signed through 24 with 1, 2, 3, 4. He had 4 voided years. What on earth did the Jags do? He signed a 3-year, $49.5 million contract with a $15 million signing bonus. But when did he sign it? 22. Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah. Well, anyway, Brandon Scherf, $9 million or less. The Lions can probably get it done. 1 year. We don't need Tyler Lockett. Kevin Zeitler's gone. No way on Von Miller. Calais Campbell, too old for me. Tyron Smith. I thought Tyron Smith was already gone.
Let me take a look here.
There's now a 2-hour special of the Insiders coming up next. Yeah, I don't see anything popping here. Ever since the Kevin Zeitler news from Ian Rappaport,
yeah, it's
died off.
It's kind of mellow, but I'm sure by morning, I mean, there's more movement. I mean, the names that you're looking to see for me that come to mind are, Rodgers. Not that it's a huge move, needle mover for me, really, where he ends up. Does Rodgers end up somewhere before Cooper Kupp does? Does Cincy get their asking price for Trey Hendrickson, which is evidently at least a first-round pick, plus a player? Who's going to pay that? If there was somebody that was willing to pay that, I'm sure they would have already done that by now. But it seems like people are waiting to see if that market cools a little bit, and then they can go back to Cincy and say, all right, you're asking for too much here.
So I think the most interesting thing to watch right now between now and tonight and then tomorrow is Azeez Ojulari. He's averaged almost a half a sack per game that he's played. And
I'm surprised he's not signed yet. The bit you did on him one of the Rise and Grind morning shows, I was like ready to sign him. Like at the end of that, like made too much sense, and maybe that'll still happen.
Yeah, but here's what I'm looking at. So this is what's weird. So Ojulari filled in for either Thibodeau or Burns or somebody, and he got 3 starts out of the deal last year. So his snaps were limited because he was behind Burns and Thibodeau. And so then Ojulari gets in and he gets 5 sacks in 3 games. And then everyone was calling for him at the trade deadline, and the Giants wouldn't deal him. Right? So he misses the next 6 games with a toe injury. I'm wondering if that was a manufactured toe injury or not. But anyway, obviously the market on him is fascinating. Burns, though, signed a 5-year, $141 million contract with the Giants last spring. He averaged 0.56 sacks per game. That's why I feel like there's a holdout here. Maybe Azeez Ojulari is considering that he feels like he's worth way more than what he is. Limited production, limited snaps. Let me say that again. Limited snaps, good production. 11.6 pressure rate on 36% of snaps available. 7 TFLs, 6 sacks, 10 quarterback hits. And that's like 200 snaps. So imagine what he could do in a half a season, or, half the snaps. I think he's a perfect complement to what Kelvin Shepherd needs. I really do. He can play outside linebacker. He can play up on the line. He can play off the ball. He can do it all. He's got, a good frame at 6'3", 240. good speed, wide body, wide shoulders. He's got good wingspan. I like Aziz. That's the name to watch, obviously, throughout the night. And a couple other names. I'm surprised Josh Uche hasn't moved.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Uche is one of those questionable signings. He played for $3 million last year, and I mean, he barely got in 200 snaps last year. Barely, it seems like. 21.1% pressure rate, though, when he was in.
Wasn't he the player that during the season, the Lions were, there was one point where it was like, oh, the Lions just acquired him. It was some, like, during a game.
Yeah, Eric was saying that. Yep.
Was it Eric that
yeah, that's Eric. Eric got burned on some fake news.
I'm just trying to remember, not trying to throw Eric under the bus.
No, it's fine. We laugh about it all the time.
But that is the player that it was. Yeah, that's, I don't know, man. And I'm seeing a report from Bleacher Report just saying they're doing, of course, their winners and losers, and they've got winners, NFC North QBs except Jared Goff, in parentheses.
Why didn't he win? What was he supposed to win?
Exactly, right?
What was he supposed to win? You know?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Except Jared Goff. Well, okay. I'm excited for next season, man. This is the fun stuff where it just kind of like starts like, all right, bet, like you guys are okay. You know, it's fun. I don't dislike Caleb Williams. I don't dislike JJ McCarthy. I'm just neutral on any player really that doesn't play for the Lions, except for Stafford, who I still love. But
I hate them all.
Yeah, you bleed. I'm pretty sure if you got cut right now and started bleeding, it would be Honolulu blue.
Probably.
That's,
all right. So here's another one. Dalton Risner from the Vikings. Did he sign with anybody right now? I don't think he did. I think Risner's still available. Or Risner, whatever. He's only 30, 6'5", 312, solid starter for the last 4 years in Denver. And each of the past 2 years, he kind of took the next step up. So he found a real soft market before signing a one-year deal with the Vikings last year and starting most of the season. I mean, at left guard in 2023 and then right guard in 2024. So he's got scheme versatility. He's got positional versatility. He has holes in his game, but his experience and versatility should find him a home somewhere. So there's another option. He didn't allow any sacks, had 0 penalties. He only allowed a 5% pressure rate and picked up half the snap load last year. I like Dalton Risner, right now he's a back end tier 8 guy right now that could find a home, come in and prove it and get one of the lower tier deals. I like it. Dalton Risner. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So that's your list. Again, I put it in the chat. If you're not subscribed to The Athletic, to the New York Times, and obviously you won't be able to read it, but we'll keep updating you on it. I'm not seeing any action right now. I will come back if there is breaking news, but I think it's time to go get some real sustenance other than these stupid combos. That's not good. It's just a bunch of salt. I don't eat too much junk, but when I do, I do.
It's free agency food, man.
Yeah. Well, at least it's not double chocolate almond, ice cream or something else, All right. Y'all been great. Appreciate you guys. I'll be back. If there's breaking news, I'll just do a breaking news segment. Do us a favor, like, share, and subscribe. If you're just, now getting into the channel, I forgot to do my begging this entire last 3 hours. Please subscribe, get in, be part of the Rockhound team. Team Rock merch is going to be coming here soon. I started working on it today. I'll work on it the rest of the night tonight. Should be back in the morning for the morning show. And again, if there's breaking news for the Lions, I will be back. Otherwise, Riley, are you joining tomorrow morning?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Are you sure?
100%. Yep.
100%. Okay. So I'll get with you afterwards. I'll send you a text or something. So you guys have a good rest of your night. Look, Brad Holmes is doing Brad Holmes things. My final take, for the night right now is calm waters, man. Brad's just, he's out there floating in a kayak, just getting us ready. It's steady streams. It's steady, calm water. No big waves right now. I'm sure he's working on some things. But if it's not the right dollars to make sense with for the rest of the season, then it doesn't make sense. I think that we're going to be just fine in this draft. We got plenty of ammunition between this year, next year, and 2027 to move up and down the river with in this draft. And Brad's going to find not only the best player available, but if you look at last season, I think he found the best player available and kind of plugged some holes at the same time, which he doesn't normally do. I think it just kind of ended up that way. So this year, I think there's going to be a little bit of a deviation. I don't think it's just best player available for him this year, even though he's going to say that. I think that when he sees a player that he really likes, even if that's not the best player available, but they're there, he's going to pull the trigger. He has to, especially if it's an edge rusher or that defensive tackle of the future that we desperately need. It's not like you can go grab 6 wide receivers because it's best player available. You can't. You know, he's going to have to mix it up. And that's the other thing. When you look at our roster, I think this draft is just going to be a giant mixed bag and we double down on one position. So far, I see one position. But once we get through free agency, I'll figure out what that's going to be because right now I'm a little miffed. I don't know where the rest of the team's coming from. We've got a lot of guys unsigned. I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18, 19, 20, 20. We got 22 guys unsigned still from the previous season. 22 guys. And matter of fact, I doubt this is updated, but I'll look anyway.
I love that whether it's in the morning or midday stream or whatever it is, I think there was a couple hundred people in earlier, and there's still 100 people in here now. Appreciate you guys joining in and supporting Rocked On and being Team Rocked On. It's a damn good team to be on, and it's exciting. I know Ronnie's just asked about any word on Smith. I think I'm on pins and needles waiting to hear on that too. Would love to have him resign.
We got 62 guys signed right now. 62. So we still have 28 more to go by camp. You can add, 7 guys, 6 guys probably for the draft. So that puts us at 68, 69 guys right now, which would be your top 69 after the draft. That's your vet squad, that's your practice squad, that's your top 53. So when you look at this, it's about 22 more guys that we have to get signed. Between now, draft, and UDFA, if my UDFA calculations are correct, that means we only have 10 more guys we have to sign. So expect 10 more moves. Draft, we'll say 6 guys. UDFA, I'm going to say 12. So that's 18. Plus the 62.
Here's 80.
That's 10 guys. So we still have 10 more guys to sign. It's not like you can't sign them. It's going to have to. So there's still more action to come.
Undoubtedly. Yep.
All right. See you guys later. Go in pride. Catch you in the next one.
Detroit Lions will